Hello everyone, this is Curly Blue Fitness and I have PCOS and endometriosis. I wanted to make a video discussing these issues that's been affecting my life for quite a few years now, and how I've been living with it, how it has affected me in terms of weight loss, in terms of weight gain, in terms of my health. And I wanted to compare living with those diseases then versus now, and hopefully some of the things I've gone through, some of the things I've learned will be something that can affect and aid some of you out there that are going through something similar. First, I'm going to discuss endometriosis. Endometriosis is a disorder where tissue that normally lines the inside of a uterus is supposed to shed during menstruation, but instead of it shedding, it continues to thicken, and sometimes that tissue also can grow on the outside of the uterus as well as the ovaries and the fallopian tubes, and it can actually clog the areas to the point where you have to have surgery to get that removed, because it's basically blocking you from having a proper cycle. Because the tissues that contain the endometriosis do not have a way of leaving the body, eventually without surgery to remove it, the area surrounding the endometriosis can actually become very irritated and can actually cause scarring. It can cause infertility, and it's something that can happen, but it's not something that is an end result. Some of the symptoms involving those who have endometriosis includes very painful periods, and basically it's just severe pelvic pain. And the best way that I can describe this pain is it just feels like you're being stabbed multiple times, and it's something that you don't know when it's coming, you don't know how long the pain will last. And at least in my case, I have not come across any over-the-counter drug that eases the pain. Endometriosis is first diagnosed in some women who are seeking treatment for infertility, and also some of the other symptoms can include painful intercourse, pain with bowel movements and urination, excessive bleeding, and fatigue, diarrhea, constipation, extreme bloating, or nausea. All of these symptoms are usually associated during a woman's menstrual cycle. Some of the risk factors involving endometriosis includes never giving birth, starting your period at an early age, having higher levels of estrogen in your body, or greater lifetime exposure to estrogen your body produces. Any medical conditions that prevent the normal passes of menstrual flow out of the body, and uterine abnormalities. Now, a great deal of these affect me. Starting period at early age, I was in the 4th grade when my cycle started. My mother was the complete opposite. She is also someone that had endometriosis, and she did not have her period until she was 16 years old. And she was told by her doctors at the time that she was infertile, and lo and behold, 3 of us came into the world. So it gives me hope that I can have a family, but it's also something I have to be aware of, that it may not be the case for me, and I have to learn to be okay with that. I just discovered that I had endometriosis only a couple of years ago, and to be honest with you, had my particular doctor not noticed one little thing on my chart, it actually would have gone unnoticed, and I would have carried on not having any idea that I was suffering endometriosis. My husband and I have been trying for a couple of years now unsuccessfully to have a family, and we wasn't sure why we couldn't have a family. And the only thing that we knew was I had stopped birth control at the time, and we were just waiting for what we thought was for the effects of the birth control to wear off. And months and months was going by. I wasn't having a cycle, and I knew something was seriously wrong. So when I went and did my yearly pap smear, everything had gone fine. They didn't find anything wrong with my pelvic exam. And right before I walked out the door, she happened to notice that I noted that I had not had cycles. And at this point, it was about 6 months had gone by and I had not had a cycle. And my pregnancy test was negative. So that was a red flag to her, and she asked me to stay behind to do an ultrasound. That's when they located a large, about this size, cyst sitting on my left ovary, and I did in fact have endometriosis all around my uterus area as well as around the other ovary, but my biggest problem was on my left side. Some of the complications regarding infertility is some of the scarring that can occur. In my case, after my first surgery had taken place, the endometriosis had caused so much scarring that it actually damaged my left ovary. What endometriosis also does is when you're trying to have a child, when your uterus is supposed to thicken up to allow the egg to stay put in order for the sperm to reach its destination, my body gets in the way of that, and either it overproduces the thickness or my endometriosis tissue gets in the way of the lining to where I'm basically making it impossible for the sperm to go up where it's supposed to go to meet the egg and for me to get pregnant. We've tried different methods of having children besides the natural way. We've tried drug-assisted help, we've tried injections, and right now our last option is looking like in vitro. And what in vitro is you're basically having a lab take your eggs and sperm, put a bunch together, those embryos are placed back inside the body, and you're playing a guessing game of hopefully one of the many that's been placed inside of you stays where it's supposed to stay, and hopefully you'll be able to conceive that way. It's a very expensive procedure, and believe it or not, it's not guaranteed. We didn't want to invest that kind of money into something, and also in vitro is not covered by a lot of insurance, so you're paying a lot of out-of-pocket fees if you go this route. So we wanted to focus on something more natural before wanting to invest in something like in vitro. Once it's been determined that you have endometriosis and you want to take a surgical route to temporarily solve the problem, I say temporarily because this is something that there is no cure. This is something that is going to continue to happen. For me, once the endometriosis and that cyst was confirmed, I had a procedure called I'm going to say this right, a laparoscopy. I hope I said that right. And basically what they do is they put you under anesthesia, and the doctor makes 3 incisions, and 1 inside your navel and 2 on the outsides of the abdomen, usually a little bit over the vagina area, so the lower abdomen. They go inside with this really small tube-like thing, and they manually remove any of the endometriosis in the area. They can also bleed out the cyst and remove it without causing any or minimal damage to your tissues in the area. And they also do if it calls for it, they also do a testing of your tubes where they take a blue dye and dye your fallopian tubes and just make sure that the endometriosis wasn't causing any kind of blockage in the area. It's a simple procedure, and usually recovery can be anywhere from, I'd say, a week to 3 weeks, given your body, given your condition at the time of the surgery. The first time I had the surgery, it took about a month for me to make a full recovery because I was much heavier. I was not eating really healthy at the time, and I was not in a good mental place when this happened. And in my opinion, your mentality plays a big role in your ability to get over recoveries. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't have a lot of time to really rest. It took a while for me to get over being told that there's a possibility that I may not be able to have children. And that has a very devastating effect on someone's mentality, especially someone who's been trying unsuccessfully for years to conceive. The next disorder I want to talk to you about that I have is called Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, or PCOS for short. And basically, it's a common endocrine system disorder among women among the reproductive age. And basically, it means we have an enlarged ovary or ovaries that contains small collections of fluid called follicles located in each ovary, and it's usually located during an ultrasound. These cysts can burst on their own and come out during menstruation. Some of them can continue to get large to the point where they have to physically be removed through surgery. And this also causes fertility issues, and it can also play a role in some long-term diseases such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Some of the symptoms of PCOS are irregular periods. It can also be excessive androgen, which is basically elevated levels of the male hormone, which can result in physical signs such as excessive facial and body hair, adult acne or severe adolescent acne, and male pattern baldness, which is termed androgenic alopecia. And of course, the obvious polycystic ovaries. There is no known cause for PCOS, and there's no one particular way or no particular set of symptoms that affects every woman. Every woman can be different in terms of the symptoms of PCOS. The symptoms do get worse the heavier you are, and most of the time PCOS involves more of how you feel and what you're feeling, and you just have to maintain an open line of communication with your doctor. If you know somebody that's going through PCOS or endometriosis or both, and they're having a hard time, just take the time to be really supportive of them. When we say that we are in pain, please don't take it as us being drama queens. I know there are plenty of jokes out there about women having period pains and over-exaggerating the pain, but people who are experiencing these disorders, it's really serious. It's very painful, extremely painful, and we wouldn't take the time to tell you that it's very painful if it wasn't very painful. So just be supportive. For those who are trying to conceive and they're not being successful, some women can be a little sensitive to the conversation of having children, so just be mindful when having that conversation to a female who's experiencing these disorders, and just try to be as comforting and as understanding as possible, because women who go through this, there's a lot of internal battles that we have to deal with that a lot of people don't really understand. Again, we don't know when a lot of these pains are going to occur with us. And even though the worst comes during our cycles are not the only time these pains occur. If you have PCOS, you can have that sharp ovary pain on your sides at any given moment. If you're suffering through endometriosis, you can have abdominal pain at any point. It's just made worse during the cycle. You also have to deal with the fact that a lot of us are going through insulin resistance, so it makes losing weight a little bit more difficult, because while the average person is taking the insulin from the food they eat, where it's going to provide energy for the body, our body is actually rejecting a good bit of that insulin, and instead of storing it for energy to be used throughout the body is being stored as fat. And a lot of that fat gets stored into the abdominal area. So for someone who's going through that, the bigger they are, that actually makes it worse. And that excess insulin can actually lead to us having type 2 diabetes. And if left untreated or if left unchecked, you can become a full-fledged diabetic and not even realize it. And just because you're skinny does not mean you're immune from type 2 diabetes as well, because again, this is an internal battle. This is not just, you can't out exercise these diseases. You cannot out exercise these issues. And sometimes having a healthy diet does help, but it's not the end all for the symptoms that you're going through. But I will put out that obviously the heavier you are, the worse these symptoms are. And these symptoms can only lead to worse diseases throughout your lifetime, that if you don't do anything about it, you will eventually have a serious disease, and it can eventually lead to your death. So please take your diagnosis early. Take the time to have your exams. Take the time to talk to your doctor. Take the time to read and do your own research and learn about the causes, the symptoms, and potential treatments that you can do to help lessen the severity of what you're going through. And take advice from other people who've gone through something similar. Again, every woman is different, but at the same time, we can all learn from each other. Again, I've only been experiencing this for a couple of years since learning of my diagnosis, but through my research and understanding more about the conditions that I have, it's very plausible for me to accept that I've been living with this for a lot longer, because as long as I can remember, I've never had a quote unquote easy cycle. My cycles have always been extremely painful. They have always been painful to the degree where at least once or twice of every cycle during the first day or two, I am literally bedridden because I'm in so much pain. I can't get up, or if I do get up, I can't get that far. There have been times that I recall just standing, walking, minding my own business, and the pain will hit me so suddenly that I'll instantly be falling forward or going into the chair or a chair nearby because I'm in so much pain. There is really no way, for my experience, to describe the type of pain that I've endured over the years going through these symptoms, and being told that my size has only made those symptoms worse over the years is also something that's very difficult to deal with. And when you combine that with the fact that your body may not be able to properly carry a child because of everything that's going on, it can be a real downer, and it can be something that's very hard to deal with. And if you don't have the proper surroundings of positivity, if you don't have a proper mindset, that type of news can easily drive you to very dark places where you may be an emotional eater. It may cause you to eat more. You may become even more depressed. And for some people, it can cause them to become suicidal. I can recall a time where after we had the surgery and we had hoped that that would be enough, and months had went by, we went through our first stage of the pill treatments and shot treatments to try to get pregnant naturally, and we had good follicles growing. We had everything going good. The ultrasounds were looking good leading up to it. We did the whole thing of having our intimacy on an exact moment. We had a doctor leading us every step of the way to ensure that we would become successful. And I remember walking into my doctor's office so sure that my blood test was going to be positive. And to get that phone call to be told that it wasn't was very, very devastating. It just felt like someone had just took all your hopes and all your dreams and dangled it in front of you. And as soon as you thought you could touch it, it just disappeared. And I remember just feeling a total void inside of my being, to where I didn't understand my purpose in life. I always wanted to be a mother. I'd always dreamed one day of having this big family, and to have a doctor tell me that it's a very high percentage that that will never happen was really hard for me to handle. And I remember just feeling like I was just worthless. I tried to convince my husband to leave me. I didn't feel like I was worthy anymore of being a wife, because who wants someone who can't have kids? Or that was my thought process at the time. And I know he really still wants a family. And I felt like I could not give him that, so there was no point in him being with me anymore. And I tried to get him to leave. I remember just spending many times alone in the darkness, just dwelling on, would it be easier if I just wasn't in the world? I felt like I couldn't provide any usefulness. I felt like I just didn't want to be here. I didn't see a point anymore. And I was looking for reasons to stay. And at that point, I couldn't find any. I was aware that I had loved ones, friends, people that cared about me. I was aware of how important I was to other people. I was aware of the tangible things that I had, but inside of me, that didn't matter. And when you go into a dark place that far, it can be really hard to come out of a space like that, because some people, once they hit that dark spot, they go all the way, and there's really nothing you could say or do to make them feel differently. And I personally know what that feels like, to want to not be here and running out of excuses as to why you should stay. So women who go through suicidal thoughts, or women who go through those depression moments, don't look at them as weak. It's not so much of a weakness, and it's actually the opposite. It really takes a lot of strength to endure something as painful as these two diseases, and you have to still carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, for you to still have to go to your job, give 100% every day, to still be that smiling face your loved ones expect to see. You still are expected to be that good friend. You're still expected to do the normal duties that life requires you to do with being an adult. And you don't want to flood your pain with everyone, because it's an idea that women are not sad, that we just are supposed to be superwoman. We're supposed to multitask. We're supposed to do all these thousands of things and just do it with a smile. And there are many women out there who are your best friend, who are your greatest teachers, who are your hardest workers, who are people's idea of an ideal wife, and behind closed doors, they're hurting inside. They're miserable inside, and you have no idea because they don't want you to know. So it takes a lot of strength to conceal something as bad as not wanting to be in the world and convince another person that you're happy. That takes more strength than a lot of people realize. So when someone gets to a mental point, don't view them as having a weakness. They're human, just like everybody else. And everyone has low points in their life. And you should rather consider them as just someone who's hurting. And rather than judge them, try to understand them. Try to comfort them. Try to be there for them. And in some cases, some of us just want you to listen. Nothing more. After our last attempt with trying to get pregnant failed, I found myself thinking about the ideas that I had thought about the first time I had failed in an attempt to conceive. And I was determined not to go that deep into a dark place ever again. And instead, we decided that I can't control my PCOS. I can't control my endometriosis, but there are things that I can control. I can control my weight. I can control my exercise level. I can control what I eat and what I do. So my husband and I decided to not give up. And I am determined to lose as much weight as I can and at least increase the chances of me being able to conceive successfully and maintain a healthy pregnancy. Again, as I said earlier, the fitter you are, the less likely the symptoms will affect the pregnancy. That doesn't mean it's going to cure it, but it's going to lessen the odds of you having complications during a pregnancy. There are plenty of women who have endometriosis who's given successful births. My mother is one of them. There are plenty of people with PCOS who have been able to have children with no problems or minimum complications. So I am more than hopeful that it can occur, but rather than deal with another disappointment of going through surgeries or injections, I would just rather focus on something that makes me happy. Working out makes me happy. Going out and being the person that I am now makes me happy. And the weight loss knowledge that I've obtained over the months of trial and error has made me such a stronger person. And that gives me hope to continue on. And I want to use my knowledge to inspire you out there not to give up, not to let that darkness that clouds you completely cloud your judgment. Don't think of food, healthy eating per se, don't think of it as something you're just doing because you want to lose weight. This is a lifestyle, but this is your life. Think of healthy eating as preventing you from having to go to that doctor. Eat your greens today, save yourself a medical bill a couple of years from now. Eat those greens now, drink that water now, and 5-6 years from now, save yourself from having to get expensive medications. Save yourself from the ailments you would have dealt with from otherwise having a poor diet. Do the work now and you will reap the rewards later on in life. The older we get, the harder it is to make these changes into our bodies. We're only given one body. We're only given one set of organs. We're only given one opportunity to live the best life that we can. And we should be learning to feed our body for fuel and not just feed it excess just because we can. In conjunction with a healthy eating habit, being more active is going to play a huge role in treating that excessive insulin that's going on, and it can also help deal with the pain that you suffer with endometriosis and PCOS. If some of you have never exercised before or it's been a really long time, doing something as simple as a simple walk around your neighborhood or doing a simple walk around the park, just doing 15 to 30 minutes of a simple walk a day can make a phenomenal change in your body. Just you losing a simple 5% of your body fat from your diagnosis or from you making a decision to adopt a healthier lifestyle can make that big of a change in terms of how you're enduring the symptoms of your diseases or how you're dealing with the pain of going through this. For me personally, exercise does wonders for me, especially during menstruation. I actually work out harder during my menstruation because I notice the more cardio and the more I weight train during that time frame, the less pain I suffer, and my period actually flows a lot easier. Flushing the body with plenty of water also goes hand in hand with this. If you're not drinking enough water, the water you drink in conjunction with a healthier eating lifestyle will not only naturally cleanse your body of toxins going through your system, but it'll also help with your bloating. It'll help with dehydration, obviously, and it'll overall help you make better eating decisions. For me, getting into water was really difficult because I was really hooked on sweets. Water was the last thing on my mind in terms of beverages, but now it's something that I realize that is very, very instrumental in not only my weight loss, but my overall health. And drinking water not only is a great way to clear up your skin, a great way to flush toxins out of your body, it also aids you in not making bad decisions in terms of overeating. Just taking the time at a restaurant to sip one glass of water, or do it before you go to a restaurant, sipping a glass of water will also help you make a more conscientious decision of what you're eating, and it'll help you eat less so you don't have to worry about overeating. I do my best to get as much water in, but I have learned through my own research that the 8 glasses of water a day isn't necessarily what the body needs. So for me, I make it a point to drink enough water to keep my body hydrated. As I'm going through this journey, I've just basically learned to listen to my body. The more you take the time to get to know your body, the more you'll understand that your body tells you exactly what it needs. My body is teaching me when I'm hungry versus when I'm thirsty. So now I know when to get some water into my system. I know how my body reacts when I've gone too long without eating and I need to get something in my body. If I'm exercising too hard, my body gives off little signals to where I know it's time for me to slow down. There are things that you will learn as you go through this journey, whereas it's like you've never paid attention to these signals that your body's been giving you, but the body is a very amazing thing, and your body can be your best friend if you just let it. If you learn to listen to your body, listen to the signs, listen to the signals, and just give your body what it needs, it wants you to succeed. It wants to do the best for you. Remember, the body is a natural healer within itself, but it's up to us to give it what it needs to repair itself and to do its job. If you're flooding your body with nothing but soda and alcohol and junk food, you're not giving your body the nutrients it needs to regenerate its cells, to give the body what it needs to flush those toxins out the system. You're not giving the body what it needs to strengthen and create more cells to fight off diseases. So if you keep giving your body more nutrient dense greens, if you keep giving your body high fiber food, if you keep giving your body more water, natural fruits and vegetables, and more natural juices and less carbonated beverages, you're giving your body better tools to do a better job, which when your body wins, you win. So this is a win-win situation. If you are able to weather the storm, you will endure the rain, no matter how hard it falls. But eventually the sun will come out again. and the sun will shine. You just have to be willing to endure that storm. And my storms have been dark. The rain has been hard, the thunders have roared, the lightning has struck, and there have been times where I thought my foundation was just going to break under the pressure of my mentality to be able to handle those types of storms. But I had faith in myself. I have my normal faith in God, but I believed in myself, and as hard as it was to accept that there is a possibility that I may not ever have children, I decided to hold on to the little bit of hope that there was. And instead of just throwing out the idea that I can't do it, I'm hanging on to the idea that I can. So that hope pulled me out from wanting to not be in this world anymore. That hope was the push I needed to start eating right, to start exercising, to start caring more about myself and taking better care of myself. It was that hope that got me here, making this video. And just something as tiny as a little glimmer of hope can bloom into so much more. And I am such a different person now than I was when I first got my diagnosis 2 years ago. So I'm a living testament that things can change, that it's not the end of the world, and that positive changes that you make to yourself will have positive outcomes for things you do in life. This second surgery that I had to remove the endometriosis, last time it took me about a month to recover. This time around, I literally was walking about 2 days later, and by the 5th day, I was back on the track during my 4-mile power walks. And by that weekend, I was already going back to the gym, lifting heavy. And in 1 week, I was walking up and down, doing everything that I had done. I had completely recovered from that surgery in just 1 week. So positive thinking and positive energy and doing positive things for your body can definitely change your outcome on a lot. And I am a living testimony of that. So please don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on your thoughts and your dreams. Don't give up on life. If you're going through this right now, I want you to know that you're not alone. This affects millions of women across the world, but it's not the end. We can and will get through this. I just want you all to know and be inspired and be motivated that you can get through this, and you will. Just believe in yourself as much as I believe in you all. We have such a habit of just thinking that we can out-exercise our eating habits, or we think we could just starve ourselves, and that's not the answer. The answer is you can eat whatever you want, but everything works in moderation. And the more you get to know your body, the more you get to know what works for you, the more you can develop and create a healthy diet for you, where you know how much healthy food to take in versus you having that cheat meal every now and then. And enjoy yourself and still be losing weight and still maintain a fit physique and still maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'm halfway to my goal now, and I still have stumbles here and there. I still hit a wall every now and then, but the point is I don't give up. You can't give up. Consistency is the key to make all of this work. If you're doing good a couple of weeks and the scale's not moving, keep going. If you're doing well and you're getting tired of eating that salad and you're getting tired of doing it, switch up your meals a little bit, but keep going. Your body is going to go through a period every now and then where it's going to be stagnant, and you're going to have to make little changes here and there to get the body to work a little bit harder. But that's to be expected, because it's only common logic. If you started your journey at 300 pounds, you can't keep eating the same way at 300 pounds once you get to 250 pounds. Eventually, you're going to learn that you need to eat less. Eventually, you're going to learn you have to work out harder. You're going to learn that the more weight you lose, the harder you have to work to lose more. But the payoff on that, the flip side of that, is once you reach your goal, instead of you working as hard as you're working or eating the way you're eating to lose, now you're just going to be working out and eating to maintain. And that's my goal. My goal is to get to a weight loss point to where I'm happy with my body, I'm happy with my fitness, and I can spend my life maintaining. I'd rather spend my life maintaining versus me spending every couple of years trying to lose X amount of weight and then gain it all back a few months later and keep repeating that vicious cycle over and over again. I'm done with the yo-yo diets. I'm done with the unhealthy eating. I'm done with looking in the mirror and not liking the person that looks back at me, because I know I'm better than that. And if you feel that way, you know you're better too. But it takes more than to just wish it. You have to do something. You have to do something about it. If you are someone who have these symptoms that I have and have these diseases, it's not something to say that, oh, you can't do anything about it because you got all these things going against you. You are supposed to look at these things and say, you know what, I have these things, but I'm going to keep going. Again, consistency. Yes, I have endometriosis. Yes, I have PCOS, but you know what? I'm still getting up in the morning and I'm going to eat that oatmeal no matter how disgusting the texture is. I'm going to still go to my yoga classes. I'm still going to hit that track. I'm still going to weight train. I'm still going to work hard to be the best person that I can be despite me having these situations, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What I see for myself, what I envision, where I want to be, that hope that I see myself wanting to be is much bigger than PCOS. My dreams are bigger than endometriosis. My dreams are bigger than the prospect of what could go wrong if I don't take a certain medication or if I don't eat a certain way. My overall aspiration to enjoy my life is much bigger, and the will of wanting to be better is stronger than my fear of what I'm going through at the moment. It's a scary thing. It can be. It's a disheartening thing. It's a painful thing, but it's a thing that we can get over. It's something that we can grow from. It's something that we can build with. It's something that can be a tool to make us stronger. So I'm sharing this with you to help make you stronger, to help make you wiser, and to help you understand that no matter what is thrown at you in your life, you can take those things, use them as tools to make you better. You can always overcome any obstacle that's given to you. You're strong enough, you're smart enough, and you're worth it. I believe in all of you. I love all of you. And blessings.